Test, test. We have a 4-minute warning before we go live on Facebook and YouTube. 4-minute warning. Good evening. My name is Blanca Mercado. I'm the Public Information Officer here for the line fire. Just a few things before we get started. If you could please silence your cell phones, and if you're going to have any side conversations, please take them outside. We will have time at the end of the updates for any questions and answers that you have for the panel behind me. Thank you for joining us if you're online, and thank you for the facility that we are using today from the San Moritz Lodge. The line fire is currently burning on the San Bernardino National Forest in the county of San Bernardino. As of this evening, the fire is at 36,481 acres, and we are at 18% contained. Currently, there are over 65,000 structures still threatened, encompassing several communities. The San Bernardino National Forest is historically one of the most fire-prone forests in the country, but it's also home to an abundance of diverse habitats and unique biological and water resources. Our combined efforts to fight this fire is important to the long-term health of the land and the people that live here. The following agencies are in unified. It's the United States Forest Service, CAL FIRE, the City of Highland Fire Department, San Bernardino County Fire Protection District, and the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Office. First up, we will have an operational overview by our Operations Section Chief, Jeremy Pierce.
Good evening. All right, so this is the line fire update for the 11th. Starting off in the lower section in Highland, the community of Highland. As you can see on the map, we've got some black line. That's an area where we feel comfortable that the fire is not going to progress. We have crews in there that have mopped it up, very few or limited hotspots, and we've been able to repopulate a lot of that community down there after putting that black line and calling it completed line. We're moving up around the corner over to the 330. In this western section, that 330 has been one of our major significant issues that we want to hold that 330. Anything to that west side, any progress to the west side starts affecting more and more communities. So this was our main priority, is to hold that 330. So far, huge successes over there. We've put an IR flight up on there to look for any type of thermal imaging or any type of heat sources in there. We've done that the last 3 nights. And so far, we've got no heat up in that area. If you drove by it today, you'll see a little smoke up way up in the peak, a little hot spot. That's just an island that's burning out. That's insignificant, not threatening our line. So it's not causing any issues. And we had our air attack resources evaluated as well as our line supervision, and it's insignificant. So as you're moving up that corridor 330, you'll get to the City Creek Fire Station. The City Creek Fire Station right there, where it's at this drop point 10, where the 10 is on the map, is the City Creek drainage. We have a fire line going up on the west side of the City Creek fire drainage. It's a dozer line. It's intact. It's been improved. Fire has slopped over the 330 in that little section right there, and our crews have held it in check with our air resources, both night flying and day flying helicopters. And right now they're evaluating that on trying to go direct on it. And a direct attack means that they're right on the fire line, digging to the dirt and removing all the fuels, and there'll be 0 fuels between the fire and the downslope fuels. The issue in that area is that it's extremely steep. When I say extremely steep, you can barely walk on it. So the crews have to take their time, and there's all kinds of issues with what we call rollout, where fire will go below them and then come back at them. So we've got helicopter response in there, helicopter resources holding that line, and so far it's held and it looks good. It hasn't moved in 3 days, and we're having some good progress. Moving around the top, up in the Running Springs area, any drainage up there, big drainage, we got the Fredalba drainage as well as Plunge Creek drainage. Both those drainages, we had some pretty good fire runs up there right under the community. We had some fire resources that were surged in by the San Bernardino County Fire, as well as all the local agencies, including Los Angeles County, Orange County, a whole slew of fire agencies all in this area surged. About 20 strike teams of engines in here on that first night, and we were able to hold that. Since then, the crews have cut a lot of this out. Some firing operations were done around underneath the community, and it's all held. Been a tremendous effort up in that area. They're continuing it. We do occasionally in the afternoons, we'll get some push from some of this unburned fuel. We had the same thing happen today. Same thing, crews were up in there and they were able to hold that fire in check, and there's been no additional structure loss in that area as of today. Moving down this little pocket in here, it's kind of giving us a little bit of fits because we have some heat down in here, but it's also not moving very much. It's a little protected. The crews have come up with a plan, and they've cut line across the top of it, and they're improving that line that's moving kind of northeast, and that's what was done today, and they're trying to move that line continuously to the east and try to bring it up to the 18. Yesterday when the fire ran up in this area right here, it's that north area, just below what we call Division Papa or Romeo or the branch break, below 18. That fire ran up there yesterday. It's spotted in several locations, which means that there's small little fires out ahead of it. The crews, when that happens, we have to either pick up each one of those little spot fires or we have to put line around all of them. So that's what they were doing today. Once the fire behavior moderated, crews got out there when it was safe for them to do so, and were able to start cutting around that line. And they're going to be doing that all night tonight and into tomorrow morning and all through tomorrow. And that'll be their main objective, is to tie this piece all the way in and bring it over to the rim of the Bear Creek drainage. The mic keeps going in and out. So we'll bring it over to the Bear Creek drainage, and that's where we're going to try to hold that fire and bring it back up to the 18. So that's what the crews are working on today. It was a lot of progress that was made up there. We still got a lot of work, but we're feeling pretty confident. Moving around the backside of the fire, yesterday the fire spotted in this section over here, spotted across that Bear Creek drainage, which is what caused the evacuations of Big Bear, that western portion of Big Bear, once that spotted. This fire today progressed all the way to right in this area. So it kind of came like this up to the top of the rim there. This is what we're referring to as the plateau. As that steep drainage comes up to the top, it levels out and actually has a little downward slope going towards Big Bear. The Forest Service has put a tremendous amount of work up in this area for 10 years, spent a tremendous amount of money to safeguard these communities. It's a beautiful area of recreation. Super important for us to protect that area as well as the rest of this forest. So we have crews up in there working with the Forest Service under their direction with some of the same crews that were up there putting in those fuel breaks. They've assisted in all of our crews getting the manpower in there and showing them where their fuel breaks are, where their dozer lines are, where we can put additional lines to help hold this fire and bring it around the top of this. That work was completed today by some of the folks in this room that came back as this fire hit the top right in this section, it hit that rim. They've been able to go direct on it again. Once again, that's right on that fire's edge. And as it comes up this drainage and hits the plateau, they're bringing the fire all the way around and putting it out right as it comes up to the edge. It's been a great success. It's a great plan. We're really confident in that plan, and it's continuing to work. Additionally, crews are starting to now push dozer line down to hold that fire from any eastward progression for several reasons. One, it's your beautiful forest out here, and you know it's got a lot of natural habitat. It's your watershed. It's one of the largest watersheds in all of California, and it's super important for us to protect that. So stopping that eastward progression for that purposes alone is tremendous. But additionally, anything that moves to the east wants to move north up into our community. So the farther it pushes, the more of our Big Bear is threatened, which is one of the most beautiful areas in Southern California, and we want to make sure that we protect that community. So this piece over here is going in. We have some high successes for it. They're now going to take it down and go direct on the lower section as that fire behavior mitigates, and they're going to bring it down around here with help of about 6 hotshot crews. They're coming down around the corner here and bringing it back down to that 38 corridor. This has been going on now for 4 days, and the last 4 days, we're making a tremendous progress, but we've got a lot more work to do. It's steep terrain with up and down over drainages and into canyons and across creeks and all kinds of stuff. So it's a difficult terrain, but from the use of ground forces, hotshot crews, dozers, and some other folks and engine companies with hose lays, all of that is going in around that corner, and we're having good success. Coming down in the 38 corridor, one of our communities down there, Angeles Oaks, super important. We've got resources down there producing line around that Angeles Oaks, as well as Mountain Home. And those are all being put in place as a secondary line, emergency, right? We don't expect it to get into that. So far, it's held 38 corridor. We've held it on the ridge up above that 38 corridor, and it's continued all the way down and to wrap around into the dam area. So that's your line update for September 11th. Thank you.
Next to speak is San Bernardino County Sheriff Shannon Dykes.
Thank you. Hey, friends and neighbors. I know when the fire department gives these updates, I hope everybody keeps in mind that they are also our friends and neighbors, including all of the law enforcement officers that are out there in the field right now. Many of them have also been in the evacuation zones only to go to work and not be able to come back and do those things. And so why do I say that as your sheriff? Folks, your homes are our homes. And from the law enforcement perspective, what we're trying to do right now is to make sure that when you do evacuate those areas that we've designated, that your homes are safe. I know you all know Captain Craig Harris. He's standing in the back. He's a pretty humble guy, but he takes care of you up in this community. And in the Running Springs area, when this fire first broke out, it was one of our first evacuated, ordered areas. And while we were in that area, there were a couple of people that decided to loot a house, and they're in jail. And unequivocally, I want to relate to all of you because we're stretched really across this entire scene. You also heard about the bridge fire that we're dealing with in the Wrightwood community. But I can promise you, if there are anybody that want to come in and be a disruptor or to be an opportunist and take advantage of what's going on in this county, we will absolutely make sure that these aren't the only two that go to jail, but anybody else that tries to take any of your property will. And I can promise you that. So when you talk about the Herculean effort that our firefighters have put forth, especially when you see the work they've done in this briefing, you're sitting there thinking, you know, we've displaced over 100,000 people as a result of evacuation orders and evacuation warnings across our resort and mountain communities. When you think about that disruption and what it's actually done to families, there need to be consequences for this. So CAL FIRE investigators and Highland Station investigators worked together, and I'm pleased to say that the suspect responsible for the line fire is in custody. I believe in my heart of hearts, just being briefed in this and some of these things I can't share, but I believe that once everything's said and done and we actually forensically take a closer look at this case, we're going to find out that this person was probably responsible for more fires than what we're aware of at this point. So taking somebody that's truly reckless with our safety and security here in the mountain, taking them to task and making sure that they won't cause that grief again is sort of severely important to me as the sheriff. So how do we do this? I know there's some people, holy smokes, the National Guard's out there, we're under siege. I want to explain that. So our governor and what we call the Office of Emergency Services at the state level, they have a fire branch and a law branch. Right when we entered into these conversations, I always brief the law branch about, okay, this is what I have as a sheriff. This is how we do business. Here are my collaborators locally in San Bernardino County. And just so you know, between the folks that I have dedicated, and I'll kind of explain their training here in a moment, but our municipal chiefs of police that support us, and I'm talking Barstow, Montclair, Ontario, San Bernardino, all of our collaborators, those folks by themselves, and remember, we're all working not with not enough people, but have pumped 30 of their own officers into your communities, along with the 100 that I've pumped in. And that's the people, they care about you. And why do I say that? Because we have relationships. We talk about these things. We make sure we're thick as thieves long before this happens. So when we call each other, I can guarantee you we've developed a relationship that before the phone rings, the answer is yes. And that's the way we work in this county. And we work the same things with our collaborators that are here behind us. The fire chief and I in San Bernardino County, Dan and I talk regularly. As a matter of fact, he has a life-size picture of me in his office. I know that's weird. I really don't know exactly how he got that, but you know, just one of those things we have to deal with. So folks, on a serious note, what we're doing just to know how we protect your neighborhoods, and it's a little bit more involved. I mentioned I have 100 deputy sheriffs. It's 10 squads. We call them the mobile field force, and there's about 12 people in each one of those squads. But what they're trained primarily for is civil disobedience. So when you see riots and things like that, if Los Angeles calls us, if we have an issue, any of those municipal police departments, we all gather together and they have special training to take care of that. But what we came up with 2 years ago is this all hazards model, because as you all know, and I see a lot of faces I've seen in many press conferences and things like this before, we've been through the disasters. The fire comes, the rain comes, the mud goes down the hill over and over, hit play and repeat. And we all know this. So what we realized is we needed these officers to be trained specifically in all hazards and disasters like this, and of course be equipped. So when we call them, having the turnouts like a firefighter has and one of those jackets that keep them protected during the evacuations is critically important. But we also have technology. Each one of them on their cell phones are able to go to your residence when we're in an evacuation period and basically mark whether or not you were evacuated or not, whether or not you chose to stay or go. What this does is it updates a larger map that both our fire partners and law partners can see, and we can get a good sense of how many people are out of the area, who's out of their homes, and who's stayed in their homes. So you can imagine from a structure protection area, our firefighters are able to use that to be in those areas to protect lives. And it's critically important. So we're doing that. The other piece of technology we used, and unfortunately, you've all heard about the Paradise Fire when it happened up north. There were a lot of deaths in the Paradise Fire. And when the law enforcement officers were trying to go, that fire was moving so fast. So going door to door became impossible. So you've seen us advertise many, many times this high-low siren system that we have equipped in our cars. It's a high and then a low English and also Spanish translations of you have to evacuate. Folks, if you were to hear that siren in your neighborhood, that doesn't mean that the fire may come. It means it's coming now. And that means leave your home. So we're trying to train a community, and I know a lot of you are very well aware of that now, but we're equipped with those. So now let's tie in the National Guard. The National Guard is completely being deployed out of my department operations center at the request of the sheriff. They aren't coming to siege or take over or do anything like that. They are truly wonderful partners in this. So what it looks like is when the fire department advises us they need to have an evacuation order, we will go in there, we'll use that technology, we'll use all the skill of those trained people. We'll start moving through a neighborhood, we'll mark it and take care of it. But as we move out of that neighborhood, the National Guard comes in behind us to provide that extra security. And then a law enforcement officer that's familiar, your friends and neighbors, are also staying with that crew to make sure they provide that security. And should they come across anybody breaking into a home or anything, they have immediate responders to be able to do that. But the reason that's important is to be able to launch that technology, launch that high-low siren system. When fire says we had an incident like the bridge fire last night that just rapidly expanded on us and then threatened the Wrightwood community, it allows us to make sure your communities are safe and then flex those law enforcement resources into the place where the surge is. And you've seen this happen a couple of times up here, Running Springs, a couple of nights ago, Grass Valley. And just like you heard the update, we're worried about, Big Bear and a number of things right now. So we're able to move those people as a result of working with the National Guard, and it's worked. And we've been able to keep communities safe. And that's really the only arrest. There have been a number of other people that have come into our communities that maybe kind of looky-looing or whatever. And unfortunately, a few of them had warrants and they went to jail. They need to stay out of here when we're going through something like this. So please know that your law enforcement officers out there and your firefighters, number one, we do collaborate. And even though we tease each other and it's good ribbing each other, the reality is we know you have our backs, and please know we have yours. And that will not change. We live here, we love this community, and we're going to continue to defend it. And I can tell you, true heroism during this fire, I have seen it day in and day out by our firefighters. Doesn't matter what uniform they wear, and by the law enforcement officers, whether they're wearing a San Bernardino County uniform, a National Guard uniform, or wearing something from Fontana PD. So we're here for you. I'll be after this to answer questions. But thank you all for being you. Thank you for being this tight-knit community. And we got this. Let's continue to go get it.
Next to speak, we have Unified Incident Commander from the San Bernardino County Fire Protection District, Fire Chief Dan Muncy. Unified Incident Commander from the San Bernardino National Forest, Fire Chief Josh Bame. And Unified Incident Commander from CAL FIRE Team 3, Chief Kevin Bohall.
Hi. This is awesome. I can't tell you how happy this makes me. So I want to talk a little bit about where we're at, who I am, who we are. So my name's Josh Bain. I'm the Deputy Fire Chief, San Bernardino National Forest, and we're here for you guys. We're here for you. We're going through this with you. When we come into town, we try to come in as quiet as possible. We try to be as least disruptive as possible and leave just as quiet. It's hard to do. It's real hard to do. but we're here to live it with you. We become an extension of the community. We become your protectors, and that's what we're here to do. So I want to say thank you guys for everything that you're doing, for the patience that you've allowed us. This is a lot of hard work. This is some challenging ground out here, and you guys all know it. I live it with you. I've been on this mountain for 40 years, so I understand it. The fire chiefs in this room, Chief Cerna, Captain Harris, great to see you, buddy. Chief Reyes, Chief Page. It's so awesome to see the community come together like this. We did it in Snowmageddon. We'll do it again, right? So all we ask is just a little bit of patience as we get through this. We got a lot of work, folks. We're not out of the woods yet. We really aren't. And you guys understand that. You've been through it. You guys have lived it. We'll live it again. This isn't going to be the last time, right? But this is why days like this, why our cooperation, our friendships, the times that we spent 25 years together on this mountain, fighting fire and protecting you guys. So I just want to say thank you for that. And I'll let Kevin and Dan kind of talk a little bit more about the relationships and why we're here. So thank you.
I'm Dan Muncie, the County Fire Chief. Just curious, how many people are from the east side of the mountain? It's always a few. How about here in Lake Gregory? Oh, I tricked you. Crestline, Crest Forest, Lake Arrowhead. Anybody from down below? Couple. Thank you all for joining us. I heard some great things I want to reiterate first. When the operations section chief was talking, he said the dam map. And what he was referring to is, of course, Seven Oaks Dam. I wanted to make sure that's clear. The second thing I want to reiterate is the poster that is in my office. It is true. It is actually a very funny story, but I'll also tell you that the sheriff is a great looking man when he's clothed. Now I'm going to get serious. I lost control, didn't I? I'm feeling pretty good tonight. The worst I feel in my heart is getting behind us. Thank you to the U.S. Forest Service. Because whether they fade into the shadows or not, their presence is immense to us on the mountaintop. They make a difference. Whether it's fighting fire is one thing, but it's what they do year round to ensure that we have one of the healthiest forests in the nation. This forest is important to all of us. And you know, this is one of the most populated forests. It's one of the most recreated forests. It's one of the most uh, just geographical wonders and ecologically. And we need what they do year round. But just like the U.S. Forest Service, I need what you do year round. Our firefighters had a tough fight. That first day, as we were in Highland looking up, we realized how steep this territory was. It was 110 degrees. The relative humidity was very low. There was no doubt in my mind this fire was going to come up the hill. I thought we had a fighting chance to hold it about mid-slope on 1N09. And by the time the fire got there, it was coming on strong. The fire behavior, what Josh didn't say is we've done more than lived and worked together. We've been on incident management teams and gone over California. He's type 1 IC. He's a legit firefighter. One of the best wildland firefighters that I ever worked with. Jason, can you come up, by the way? The fire behavior we saw was extreme. Now, if you've seen me in a community meeting over the last couple of years, if you see me on Facebook, I've said 1980. What happened in 1980? Panorama fire. 23 years later, in 2003, what happened? 21 years later, what happened? Line fire. And if you think you're done, you're not. Our fire season is actually just beginning. What we're seeing here is going to happen again. What gives our firefighters a fighting chance is you. It is you working with your fire safe councils, which are tremendous. Listening to what they say. Don't just read the education that they're giving you, apply it to your own home. What it required for us to go into Running Springs was nothing short of a miracle. It is, people will tell you across California, it is impossible to put 21 strike teams into Running Springs as quick as we did, less than 2 hours. It's impossible. But we did it with the help of the incident management team. We were here. Our firefighters are the best in the world. And when I say our, of course, I'm referring to San Bernardino County, but I'm also referring to the U.S. Forest Service, and I'm referring to our very strong partners, CAL FIRE. Together, we are a very strong team. Now, I'm going to speak on my own agency for a bit. The firefighters that protect you here in Crestline, Lake Arrowhead, Fawnskin, Fredalba, they answer the call. We put a mandatory, you're coming in. They came in from home. And we're a fire family. Not only the firefighters, but our staff came in, our administrative staff, our mechanics showed up. We had almost 20 fire engines out of service, and they fixed them all and put them all in the street. We overstaffed. It's stressful for us to put 2 strike teams out on any given day. Last night into Wrightwood, we put 9 out. LA County only put 6 out. Because there's a duty. I'm a Rotarian, and there's a service above oneself, and it's something that I truly believe in. And you as a community, I think that you believe in that. But our firefighters absolutely believe in that. And I can't thank them enough, our fire family, our mechanics, our administrative folks, our fire prevention, for doing what they did. Because when that fire got up on the top of the hill and our neighbors came to support us through this incident management team, we didn't lose any houses. But make no mistake about it, this fire season's not over. I need you to go home, and I need you to support your neighbors. I need you to get on the U.S. Forest Service website, CAL FIRE website, County Fire's website, Fire Safe Council, Firewise community websites. Read it about what good looks like. Because if you're not protecting your property, it's hard for our firefighters to. It'll put them into danger. And I don't want any of our firefighters getting hurt as they're unselfishly putting their lives down to protect you and your property. We're proud to serve you. I'm extremely proud of this incident management team and the collaboration. Thank you.
All right, that's going to be hard to follow. Um, I'm going to speak on a couple things, but you already heard for the operations section chief from the sheriff and the other chiefs. Also proud to stand here. Great words that they gave prior to me. But I wanted to talk about 3 things. Priorities, progress, and collaboration. So priorities, obviously, you guys all know what those are. Those are life, property, and natural resources. And obviously, evacuations is a big part of that. The evacuations is for life, also for property, so we can get and do the job we need to do effectively. And that includes repopulation when we make a recommendation for an evacuation, we take that seriously. And the first thing we're thinking about is repopulating and trying to think about how that's going to affect you in your life and how we're going to get you back into your home. And then we go after natural resources. You guys have a lot of valuable resources here. I actually did a little research. So I am not from here, but specifically most populated forest in the United States. So lots of endangered species, lots of values at risk. You guys, how many here have seen the bald eagle cam? I think there'd be a lot there that's seen that. One of the biggest topics we talked about, the champion lodgepole, things like that. All those things are valuable. Mountain yellow-legged frog, all those other things. So we go in that order as we're trying to protect these resources. When we go through that, those are our priorities. Progress. So we've gotten where we've gotten because of all the work from the folks that have already spoke tonight. We've gotten where we are when it comes to containment. We've gotten where we are to make sure that we can save property, life, and natural resources. We have good things on the horizon. With this progress comes hope, right? There's good things that have happened that have gotten us here. We've got good things on the horizon. Look at the weather. We have a change in the weather coming. That's a positive thing. All these things are going to help us in this fire effort. So then we go to collaboration. We've talked about collaboration among all of the folks that have talked. There's collaborators that we're not going to mention tonight because there's so many. But the biggest collaborator that we haven't spoke about, or we spoke a little bit, is you guys. Everybody here is a collaborator in this effort. helping us out and evacuating when it's needed, helping us out to make sure we can get in there and do the job we can to protect life and property. And I want to close with that. Be ready to go in the event that we have an evacuation order that we have to issue, but be confident in the fact that we're doing everything we can to make sure that doesn't happen. Thank you.
I want to take one more moment. I want to introduce you to someone that's very special to me, and he is your mountaintop Assistant Fire Chief, Jason Serrano. We have the easy job. We look over maps and we meet a lot. Jason had the hard job. He was up here in the communities. He was directing a lot of the resources that were here. He was ensuring that the plans that we've worked so hard to put in place was followed. He was up here making sure that our firefighters were supported so they continue doing the work. So I'd be remiss if I didn't recognize Jason. So Jason, thank you for what you do for us.
Okay, at this time, we're going to open up questions to the panel. If you have a question, please stand up, raise your hand. We'll bring a microphone right over to you guys. And please be patient with us. There's only one microphone.
So I'm a resident of Arrow Bear Lake, and last night we lost Keller's Peak Tower, and the fire obviously approached past the peak, which we were thinking it was protecting it. The residents there really wanted me to ask you guys, what's the conditions of Keller's Peak, Arrow Bear, in the eastern part of Running Springs currently?
So Keller Peak, it was destroyed last night. Um, yeah, it gets choked up, but we'll rebuild it.
First, I'd like to thank all of you for your service and your efforts. But I have one question. This fire was reported at 5:55 p.m. on September 5th as a quarter acre. Why wasn't it nailed?
That's a difficult question to answer, but I'll tell you, I wasn't there. But my experience with quarter acre fires where they're established on the lower slope, when you have wind behind it, when you have extremely high temperatures, when you have best dry brush, they are very rapid. I promise you it wasn't from a lack of response. While it started in the city of Highland, Cal Fire, San Bernardino County Fire came in. There was plenty of aircraft that were ordered. The first morning I did come in, and there was an immense amount of aircraft. There was 11 crews that had been ordered. There was the type 3 strike teams that were ordered. And what we saw that first day was nothing more than shocking. Make no mistake about it, the conditions that we face on our mountaintop this year is the same as a panorama, the same as the old fire, the same as a sawtooth fire, the same as the grass fire, the same as a slide fire, the same as a lard fire, and I could keep going. The aircraft, the fixed wing, the VLATs, the big ones, were laying down retardant, and the fire was eating through that retardant. It was spotting over those retardant. When you have the flashy fuels like we see and it transitions in from grass to brush, you're going to get spotting. And at the end of the day, you can put 1,000 firefighters on that initial response, and you may not be able to go uphill and get it. If the aircraft can't slow it down, it's going to continue to spread. But I know this, the U.S. Forest Service gave it their all. I was watching it. I was worried. And that's why I showed up that next morning personally to support the team's effort and everything that they do. But I'm going to say it one more time. Thank you for your support. I'm going to say that the dog said, amen, brother. I'm going to say it one more time. This is not the last fire we're going to have on the mountaintop this year. I need you to go home and work with your neighbors, and I need you to make sure that your house is safe. These fires are going to continue to happen over the next couple of years. We've had too much growth from very wet seasons the last couple of years, and we've had way too long of a drought period. And we're not expecting any kind of significant rain that we need to control this fire season. So get ready.
Just to add what the chief said, our incident management team travels all over the state of California running large fires, and this isn't our first. But I will tell you this: it's not the size of the fire when they show up. Every fire starts as a spark. Every fire starts as a lighter. It's not the size of a quarter acre. So it's a matter of the conditions and this terrain and the fuels. And so every single fire has the same exact footprint, which is this big when it starts, and it gets this big under the right conditions. And you had the right conditions.
So to touch a little bit more on that, so what I can tell you is that the San Bernardino National Forest, we have a 97% success rate of catching all fires within 1 acre. 1 acre. Just prior to the line fire starting, we had 4 additional fires start. We caught all 4 of them. As we were driving here tonight, we had another fire in Lytle Creek. We caught it at a quarter acre. So what I will tell you is that we're ready. We're here, and we're here to protect you, and we're doing the best dang job we can, and we can't get them all.
He's got one too, and I'll get you. Okay. Come on over here.
First off, thank you so much to all the first responders. Yeah, you guys, you're protecting our home. We saw on the watch, what was it? The watch app, the watch duty app. There was military air support ordered. Why is it not coming until Thursday? We saw that it was some H-60s, some C-130s. Just curious of why it wasn't coming, why it's not here until Thursday when this fire's been going on for about a week now.
Sure. So we work in a mutual aid system. In other words, we rely really on our locals first, and then we move out to surrounding cities and do things just like that. When we're talking about a major fire like this, and I'm speaking for law enforcement as well and the National Guard folks I spoke to earlier, we have to spool them up literally about 24 to 48 hours in advance. So as we call them in, that's the reason for that gap, because you're not only talking about an emergency order that comes from the county you're in, essentially the state accepting it, and then the federal government approving to finance it. So it's those steps that we have to go through. So the earlier we make the call, the better, which we made the call early, but that's why you see them into the firefight a few days later than when we initially start.
And so to touch on that a little bit more and how we allocate our aircraft, how we allocate our ground resources. So you guys pay attention. You know what's going on. We've got a fire over on the Angeles National Forest, the bridge fire. Started the day after this one. We've got the airport fire, Cleveland National Forest. Started 3 days after this one. So we have to allocate resources. We have to get them in the right spot. And 2 days ago on the bridge fire yesterday, those aircraft you're talking about, we used them in Mount Baldy. We lost a lot of structures in Mount Baldy yesterday. We lost a lot of structures in Wrightwood last night. And so the position we are right now in this fire is we're trying to help our brothers and sisters out there protect their houses. And so we have to allocate those resources appropriately because there's only so many of them. Paying attention, I'm sure on watch duty, you see the state of Oregon, you see the state of Idaho, you see Colorado. Well, what we call it is planning level 5. It's the highest level planning that we have in the United States Forest Service. We've been at PL5 for over 60 days. So we got to allocate. We got to get them where they're needed right away. As soon as we can get something under control, we got to move them on. We got folks that have been on the road for 60 days fighting fire. So it's the allocation part of it, the priorities that we set. That's how we get there.
Hi. I want to start out by thanking all of you, everybody. Oh my gosh. And I hope you go back and tell the men and women who are on the ground and in the air how much we appreciate it. I mean, so deeply. I've learned a lot. I'm not an expert like you. I was evacuated during the Panorama fire. I had some friends who died in the Oakland fire many, many years ago. They got stuck in their car. Today I heard a rumor and I was really sickened. And the only reason why I'm speaking up is because of something that someone said earlier tonight. And the rumor was that the firefighters purposely took their time to stop the fire at the bottom of the hill for money. And I asked the person where they got their information. And I said, let me just respond. I'm so angry. I'm a high school teacher up here. I teach history. And I say, go ahead. We all have opinions, but make sure your opinions are based on facts. We are in this together. And I think it's really important as community members that if you hear people make negative comments about these people who are risking their damn lives to save us, and they have been doing this for years, we need to let those people know to check their sources. And so I'm telling you this because I'm so glad you're explaining, but I think if people leave here and they still have doubts, they should take it upon themselves and learn more about weather and terrain and how you get your resources, right? And I just want to thank you. That's all I want to say. I just want to thank you.
So I'll respond to you a little bit. I'll see if I can get through it. So we do risk our lives. In 6 days is the anniversary of the El Dorado fire, where we lost one of our own. In 6 days. So if people think we're doing it for the money, we're not.
So I wanted to reflect on what you guys are saying. How are the guys doing at the front? Are they being taken care of? Are they getting rest? What's going on? Because they're the ones who are doing, the bulldozers, the helicopter guys. I'm sure they're all on overtime. So how are they being treated? Are there any hurt? How are they doing?
You're right, sir. And I just want to tell you that we truly, as a team, appreciate you acknowledging that. And I thank you so much for asking about how they are doing. It means a lot. It means a tremendous amount to us. So, all of our folks, all of our firefighters, those that have responded from the mutual aid system, from everywhere throughout the state, and your own county firefighters, CAL FIRE, and our partners with the San Bernardino National Forest, the Forest Service, they've all been working tirelessly day and night. We do ensure that they have their proper rest periods. And so we are facilitating and managing that. And you can rest assured that every operational period, every shift they're assigned, they're out there and they're working as hard as they need to, and even harder to make sure that this thing can be buttoned up as soon as possible, but safely. So to answer your question regarding are they being taken care of? Absolutely. The base camp that's established in Beaumont is very robust. It has all the tools and supplies that they need for us to make sure that they can sustain themselves through the incident efforts. Emotionally, we're taking care of them as well. by trying to provide them with motivational talks. There's been some therapy dogs that have been ordered up and are around camp, right? So it's soothing to have those animals there. Thank you. So, and I have to say that the Cal Fire kitchen is, when we pull in and the Cal Fire, they call it the MKU. When we see that thing, every firefighter smiles because they are some fantastic cooks in there. So, but thank you. I appreciate you asking.
Am I out?
Yeah.
Oh, hi.
Hi.
I'm Tracy. I used to fight forest fires with the Cleveland National Forest, and we did a lot of complex fires where they combine, right? And I just want to say, in all the years of firefighting, I've never seen them paint the town red, and I thought that was a genius idea to just, I mean, I don't know if it was desperation, last ditch effort, but it was effective. And I'm sure all my running springs people appreciate that. My question now becomes, you have a huge burn scar that's, let's say, protecting running springs. Next month when the Santa Anas kick in, we've got all that green below us. So I feel like we're next. Do you know what I'm saying? That hillside. And I saw them putting in dozer line. Thank God. That's a little overdue, but the RHs drop when the Santa Ana winds hit. And I've been on fires I've been burned over. We've blown up. I was on 06 when Esperanza took out that fire engine. And I went to that memorial. So what are you guys doing to kind of mitigate that future danger?
So when I said we're not out of the woods, we're not out of the woods. We got a lot of work ahead of us. Just because you might not see the huge smoke columns, the huge wall of flames, doesn't mean we're done. We got to walk every inch of this fire. We've got to get hose to it. We got to get water to it. We got to put tools on it. We got to put boots on the ground. And that's what we're going to do. So when I say we're going to be here for months, we're going to be here for months. You might not see this in a management team here, but what you will see is the U.S. Forest Service, San Bernardino County, Cal Fire. We're going to be out here. We're going to be patrolling. We're going to be mopping up. We're going to be making sure that those hot spots are out so that when we do get to the windy season, and I hate using the S word, I live it with you, right? I live at the top of Live Oak. I evacuated my family too. I get it. So we're not out of the woods, but we're going to make sure we do everything we can to prevent anything from coming the other way from this fire.
Thank you so much. Hi. I want to say thank you to every one of you who has been helping and protecting us, especially over the last 18 months, what we all lived through. That was ice, that was snow, and now we're at the opposite end of it. So thank you for all the efforts. My question dovetails a little with the firefighter there. Things that we've learned since we've lived here: ember casting, Santa Ana winds changing direction. We are in a warning area here, the residents of Crestline. So our Twin Peaks and Blue Jay and Arrowhead. What is I can't say you should say you have a plan, but what is your idea for the future should winds change direction and things start moving into these densely populated communities? Will you have teams staged for us to have a little sense of, you guys are there, you guys are our safety net and our safety wall between the flames and everything else? And thank you again.
So this is a common question. And so a part of our firefight, on every single fire we go to, we use a model. It's called the PACE model. And what essentially it is a backup plan to a backup plan to a backup plan to a backup plan. So we've got our primary line, our alternative line, and then our contingency line, and then our emergency line. That's what PACE stands for. So we've put 4 lines in when we do these. So there's fire line that's been put in for when that fire jumps our fire line and we can take it to our next fire line. And so we have a whole team that's working to to establish where they're going to be, which is the most opportunistic for us, as well as what's going to hold our fire, as well as what's going to take care of our firefighters and is safe and the communities. So all of those lines are being put in currently as we talk. And as you all go to sleep tonight, I want you to know that there's dozers pushing down ridges and there's firefighters out there with saws on that steep hillside cutting line, and there's engines putting in hose lays. It's a 24/7, 24 round the clock operation that's going on. So rest assured, we're going to have a backup plan to a backup plan to a backup plan to a backup plan.
Thank you.
And so when we talk about backup plans to backup plans for the future, and so what we call it is pre-positioning. And so we pre-position engines, hot shots, water tenders, dozers, aircraft. We move them all around the nation all year long. When we we have a weather service, the National Weather Service that we work with. And so when we start seeing certain things, we move resources around. It's resource allocation. Get them in the right spot at the right time. And so you talk about teams, incident management teams. I'll give you a little perspective about that. There's 48 of them nationally for the U.S. Forest Service. As of this morning, there were 0 available and 48 committed. So 8 days ago when this fire started, I was in Oregon, Central Oregon with my team. I packed up my stuff and came home. My team's still there. It's our 4th roll of the year. So we're going to do everything we can, but it's tight.
Thank you.
I'm going to speak about the county because I can, because I'm the county fire chief, and we should brag upon this a little bit. The sheriff is a tremendous partner to our fire district, and you don't see that often in other counties. One thing that we're very grateful for is the sheriff has 2 brand new, what we call Type 2 helicopters, water dropping helicopters that he just received in his inventory. What you probably didn't know is that the nine helicopters, I think maybe 1 or 2 more, that the sheriff has, every one of those can drop water. And we work in conjunction with the sheriff. I'd also be remiss if I didn't point out Supervisor Rao is here. And she authorized our fire district to have 72 new positions this year to ensure that our communities are adequate.
Okay, I got a question about fuel. A lot of us have generators, and I know I have 10 gallons of gasoline, backed up and a full tank of gas inside the generator. You got any recommendations about how we're supposed to stow that away so you guys don't get affected by it if the flame comes around?
I'll start. Yeah, Jason. Storing fuel next to you.
Okay. So you'll hear us constantly. If you've attended any of our MAC meetings since Chief Muncie appointed me as the assistant chief up here, every meeting we talk about home hardening, defensible space, right? Preparing your home. And there's a constant message there, and that's remove the combustibles away from your home. Clear the vegetation away from your home, okay? Making sure that you're clearing below your decks, taking anything that's combustible and moving them away. So in response to your question in particular about the fuel, you should have somewhere identified that you can store that fuel away from your home where it's protected and safe and not off-gassing and accumulating, and make sure that it's properly sealed and where you can get to it when you need it. So that's the best advice that I can give you. And please go to our website or any of our cooperators' websites. You'll find a tremendous amount of information on those websites regarding how to safely prepare your home to improve its chance of survivability in a wildfire.
So thank you all for your diligence, professionalism, heroism. I was driving down the hill Friday around noon and then back up around 2. And I kept looking, saying, where are the aircraft? Where are the aircraft? I did not see them. And perhaps I'm blind, but what was going on at that time?
All right. This is the most common question we get because you can look up in the sky and you can see, is there a plane? Is there a helicopter? Where is it? There's a couple of things that will prevent our aircraft from flying. One of them is smoke. The other is um, really it's the smoke and lightning. We had a lightning storm that came through that downed all of our aircraft as well as the cloud cover. But if they don't have visibility to fly, we can't put them up in the air. Now that being said, we have night flying helicopters that we've used every single night on this fire. We've used just about every aircraft that we have. They also have downtime. They have flight hours that they can run or not run. Sometimes we'll have other operations, like we'll use a drone operation for firing operations that use a firing device on a drone. But when we fly that drone, we can't use water dropping helicopters in the same area. There was a time period when we had civilians flying a drone up in the area where we had to set our aircraft down. So there's a handful of reasons why you won't see aircraft. And additionally, you may not see them because they're on the other side of the fire. We prioritize our fire every single morning and then every single afternoon. And that priority is which division or which section of the fire is our number one for water dropping helicopters, which is our number one for our fixed wing tankers. And then we'll reevaluate that. And we can't have fly helicopters all around this fire. We just don't have them because we have to share them, like I said, with the 3 different fires. And when you talk about fire conditions, it's pretty easy to see that we're in a fire condition that is extreme when you can look and see 3 major fires in a very small area that we're talking. Those fires didn't happen by accident. Those fires happened because we have a big fuel bed, we have horrible weather, we have high winds, low humidities. We have a measurement called an energy release component, right? And that is how we measure how much energy a fire is going to produce. And we're in our very top percentile of our energy release component around this entire area. So as a fire starts, it's going to produce a tremendous amount of energy, which is going to make it very difficult for our firefighters to put out. And so that's why we have these 3 major fires burning in our area. But that requires that the sharing of aircraft. And if we don't have a life hazard or a structure threat or something like that, we're putting our line out, but our neighbors in Wrightwood do, those helicopters are going to assist them. And vice versa. If we have a significant life threat or we have a threat to our communities, they're going to, and they don't, those helicopters or aircraft will be shared with us. So rest assured, every single moment, every single second that we can fly an aircraft, it is our best friend as a firefighter. That's what we like. So we don't fly them. If we're not flying them, it's not because we don't want to use them. It's because we can't use them. And that's really what it boils down to.
So real quick, a little bit more about aircraft. I'll break it down a little bit for you. Who drives in the fog up here? Who hates it? Who stays home when it's foggy? So imagine flying a helicopter or an air tanker when you can't see one another, you can't see a hillside, and all you got is an iPad sitting on your dash telling you where to go. It's pretty darn dangerous. And so it's real hard on that Friday, particularly. Who went out and looked at the smoke column on that Friday? That big column. I'm telling you, in 30 years of doing this, probably only seen that 1 or 2 other times. That was the most impressive fire behavior smoke column I've ever seen. I mean, I'm talking New York Times front cover page. What that column did is it produced 1,100 lightning strikes. It made its own weather. We did pick up 2 additional fires in the wilderness. We got those 2. So when those things happen, we just can't put aircraft in the air. It's not worth killing somebody over, right? So as soon as we can get them up, we get them up. As soon as that wind kind of pushes some of that smoke away from us, we get them up and we do what I call work. It's a work day. We go to work and we start flying. So that's that.
Thank you for the invaluable information. It means a lot, especially I know to the people who are new here. My question is, I have family in Green Valley Lake. They would like to know if and when they can go home. Is there a marker, a percentage at some point?
All right, so all the evacuations every single morning, 10:30, we meet with our cooperators, the sheriff's department, and it starts off with us. And we recommend, hey, as a firefighter, safety wise, we recommend, or you can now start that process. And then it goes to the sheriff. And we have some cooperators in that meeting that include PG&E, it includes all of our, PG&E and at California Edison. I'm from Northern California, my mistake. So all of our cooperators are in that room as well. And we go through that, including the county, including the health department. There's a whole slew of people, our cooperators, are going to be involved in that meeting. And we talk about their needs and whether or not we're ready to get the community in safely. And it's really about getting you back to your home safely. I will say this. We meet on day one of a fire whenever we do evacuations, and we start that process. It's in the back of my head. So from my perspective, you guys don't know where I'm from, but I'm from Santa Rosa. I don't know if you've heard it. Okay, so Santa Rosa and wine country, we've been evacuated 5 times, had most of my community burned around me, including my backyard, including my family, including some of my friends. That being said, I know what it's like to be an evacuee. Well, my family was evacuated for 14 days while I was fighting the glass fire. It was kind of nice. I had a home to myself. That being said, it became very important to me. And I realized as an evacuee, when I had friends calling me, when I had family calling me, when I had folks in the community and schools closed and kids getting behind in their schools, how important it is to get you folks back to your homes in a sense of normalcy. I promise you, from our perspective, we want to get you back in your home, and it's going to happen, and it's going to happen soon, but it's also got to be safe. And we have to provide for A, your safety, and B, the firefighter safety to let us do our job. But every single day, 10:30, we meet and we talk about it. Jared?
Folks, as long as those recommendations from all of our fire experts here are that it's safe, that will be priority number one. And it's been said over and over again, but it is true. All of us, if we've lived in this county or really the state of California, we've all experienced being out of our own homes and how important it is to get back in. And just know that from my perspective, when we get those recommendations, we're spinning plans around to bring everybody back and getting those announcements out as soon as we possibly can.
Good evening. I wear many hats, so I'm not even going to go into that. I'm Reverend Gigi Bannister. I'm on the board of directors for Rim of the World Recreation and Parks District. And I have a message from our general manager, Jenny Wetta. First and foremost, I'm incredibly thankful that our staff members are safe and that they're working remotely to remain close to their families and prepared for evacuation if necessary. To the best of my knowledge, our facilities have not sustained any damage thanks to you. The Hoopman Center and Clappinger Field have played important roles in the response efforts. The Hoopman Center has served as a central hub for various agencies who have greatly appreciated the use of the kitchen, parking, and other amenities. It's heartening to see the center fulfilling its intended purpose as a resource for community in times of need. Caplinger Field has also been utilized with the lights kept on overnight to support 24/7 operations. I've been out to the county to offer our facilities for meetings, volunteer efforts, or any other needs the agency may have during this time. I feel truly blessed and deeply grateful to the firefighters, volunteers, and everyone working tirelessly to keep our mountain community safe. Thank you all for your continued support, and I look forward to seeing you in person soon. If anything changes, I will let you know as soon as possible. With gratitude, Jenny Wetter, General Manager, Rim of the World Recreation and Park District.
Folks, we're going to conclude this meeting, but we're all here to answer one-on-one questions if you have any. Additionally, we do have some supplies from the Fire Safe Council that they would like to hand out if anybody would like any. Thank you. Drive safe.